Is Silvanna a good pick against Mincy in the EXP? Alright, let's get into the draft, and I grabbed Minsitthar right away as our first pick, and their EXP laner had plenty of time actually to think who he'd use against me. I thought he'd pick Argus, but I guess he realized that Argus just isn't the answer. So we're up against Silvanna, and the first key tip here is to play it safe and avoid overextending. You see, there's no need to rush or force anything. Also, it's not a big deal for me if I last hit minions or not, because it's really the off-map pressure that really matters for Mincy. Just simply don't give your enemy idea about your position. This is how Minsitthar should be played: calm, controlled and calculated. Watch how Silvanna starts checking every bush, trying to find out where I'm positioned. This will give me a clear advantage because I can time my skill 2 perfectly and land a clean poke. And don't be afraid to chase after her if you know you're just one basic attack away from triggering your passive. Now look at that, Silvanna's the one getting poked out, and that makes it easier for us to take control of the lane. But remember, discipline is key to Mincy. Always wait for your passive to reset before going for the next trade. That's why you'll see me here backing off, just extending my hook just in case I need to last hit minions because Silvanna seems to freeze the lane. Then as soon as your passive ready to be triggered again, go and reposition and look for a clean re-engage. Silvanna actually played it smart here. She tried to freeze the lane near her tower, but she failed to dodge my hook, although she did manage to land a stun with her first skill. But Minsithar's passive does really hurts. Then, I kept my distance and played it patiently, and waited for my skill cooldowns. She did time her dash out perfectly, but it's okay because we're not letting her get away. Even though we already have the advantage in the EXP lane, you'll notice that I continue to play with patience and discipline. I don't rush things, I actually freeze the lane on purpose to control the wave and force Silvanna into a tough decision. If she wants to secure minions, she has to move up and overextend. And that's exactly what we're waiting for. Once she takes the bait and steps too far, that's our cue. I land the hook combo and pull her straight under the tower. And remember, once King's Calling is activated, Silvanna loses most of her options. Her first skill and ultimate are basically shut down. She can't dash and the only thing she can throw is her skill 2. Now before you even think about rotating, make sure to clear and destroy the turret in the EXP lane. This gives you pressure control on your side of the map and frees you up to rotate without worrying about losing your lane. Unfortunately, my teammates get taken down in the mid lane, so I immediately make the decision to rotate and defend. Mid lane is one of the most important lanes in the game. If it falls early, it opens up your jungle area. And once enemies gain control of your jungle, they snowball faster and gain a massive map advantage. Now watch how I move because my entire playstyle revolves around staying hidden and staying undetected as much as possible. I'm constantly using bushes for vision and for setup. Now watch closely because turtle is about to spawn, and of course, we don't want to just give that away for free. So I immediately move and look for a good bush to position myself in. I'm not rushing and I'm just scanning the area, waiting patiently, watching movements, and calculating when to engage. But unfortunately, the turtle ends up getting secured by the enemy. But still find a bush and don't reveal your position too soon. But even without a bush, you can still hide your position as long as you understand how to maintain the right distance. Minsitthar mostly relies on the element of surprise. He's effective when the enemy doesn't know he's around. That's why you never want to show up too early in a clash. Let the enemies overcommit and let them think your team is outnumbered. Once they're in too deep, that's when you strike. You jump in, drop your King's Calling, and set up a perfect trap. Now after the clash, don't forget to capitalize on your advantage. Always look for a turret to destroy, because every objective you take makes it harder for the enemy team to catch up. Also, you need to deny enemy jungle too. Starving them of resources is a great way to widen the gap and keep control of the game. Also, make sure to prioritize taking down the enemy's mid lane turret. That opens up the map and gives your team more space to move around and rotate safely. But in this part, I made a blunder and I was taken down. So you'll need to watch out for this mistake because one wrong move and enemies can gain control in the game. Oh, and by the way, Mincy is also a solid counter to Zask, because once you cast King's Calling, Zask won't be able to activate his ultimate at all. Now while we were taken down, Silvanna immediately took the chance to destroy the turret. You can tell she's trying to maximize every small window we give her, which is actually smart. She even attempts to set up an ambush, hiding in the bush, but I spot her right away and expose her position, forcing her to retreat. At first, it looks like she's walking away, but I'm not convinced. There's always a chance she's waiting around for another setup. Still, I'm confident because I'm not afraid of her, even if she does go for the full combo at me. Then eventually she rotates to the mid lane. That gives me space to go back to controlling the bottom side of the map, but I don't just farm aimlessly. I'm watching the minimap non-stop, looking for enemy positions, potential rotations, and weak spots. That's one of the most important habits you need as Minsitthar: map awareness. And remember this, you don't always have to be seen. In fact, being unseen is your greatest strength. I use that information to set up the next play, hiding in smart angles, waiting for that moment when the enemy overextends or gets distracted. Then from behind, I jump in and turn the fight around. That's how you control the tempo of the game without even showing yourself constantly on the screen. I want to commend enemy team, especially their roamer, is doing a fantastic job making this game tough for us. You can see how he's constantly watching me now, clearly aware of my playstyle and trying to shut me down before I can pull off another sneaky setup. That kind of adaptation is what makes a match intense and exciting. Right now, the tide is slowly shifting. The enemies are starting to dominate the game, and watch as their mid laner throwing a full combo at me. Also, our jungle is no longer safe anymore as they've already invaded and are trying to starve us of resources. But here's the thing, I was watching everything, and I'm already planning how to punish them. And I wasn't just going to let that slide, and I dive in and let them pay for the price. Now that's exactly what they get for being too greedy. So what do I do next? I return to the shadows. I find a bush and disappear. I'm not rushing in for another takedowns. I'm waiting, watching, and calculating. You see, if you're ever unsure what to do in the middle of a game, listen carefully. Just don't show yourself on the map. I know it sounds passive, but it's actually one of the strongest psychological tools you can use. It's an off-map pressure. The moment Minsitthar goes missing, enemies will eventually hesitate and they play slower, because they know that any wrong move could lead to a surprise setup they're not ready for. so if you're playing Mincy, understand this. You don't always need to be dealing damage to make an impact. Your silence alone and your absence on the map can shape the way the enemies make a move, and when they finally get comfortable again, that's when you strike. That's the art of playing Minsitthar. It's not just about strength, it's about timing, pressure, and fear. By the way, we have a gold lane Paquito, and this actually works because we also picked 2 marksmen, which means we still have solid wave clear and late game damage output. Now we've entered the late game and this the perfect time to set up the king's trap. Everything looked perfect, their jungler caught off guard, just as planned, but sometimes, things don't go as expected. He managed to slip away just in time, and unfortunately, I got taken out in the process. Now here's a crucial tip, if the Lord is spawning on the bottom side of the map, then you need to pressure the top side. This forces the enemy team to split their attention, and it creates space for your team to make a play. But here's the bad news, our gold laner just got picked off in the mid lane, and Lord is about to spawn in just a few seconds. At this point, I had to make a quick decision, do we contest the Lord, or do we push the top lane instead? Looking at the numbers, the enemy team is still complete, and with us being a man down, going for a full contest could easily result in a wipeout. So I made the call, we give up the Lord, and I head top to pressure the lane, but I didn't just push blindly, I kept my eye on the Lord fight from a distance. I was counting how many enemies showed up on the bottom side, but before I even finished counting, Zask showed up, and this is exactly what I mentioned earlier. Minsitthar is such a solid counter to him. Once you drop the king's calling, Zask can't summon and can't blink out, just literally can't do anything. Now I'm already knocking on their base, looking to close things out, but their jungler made it back just in time. I really commend his effort and quick response. Honestly, not just him but their whole team did a great job throughout this game. And now, just look at him, doing everything he can to stop me from ending this game. You have to respect that kind of heart and effort. But like in every battle, there will always be a winner and a loser.